It's no secret at this point that Mike Tyson's Punch-Out was one of the most successful games on the NES. Maybe because it was of Tyson's endorsement that the game sold over 2 million copies. But what those 2 million people were treated to was one of the greatest NES games of all time. Its caricatures that stand in as the game's opponents were rich with personality and displayed cartoonish levels of strength in some of their signatures. Seriously, is that even allowed? That shouldn't be allowed. But it doesn't matter. All that matters is that you can't do any of those insane moves yourself, and instead have to plan around them to defeat your opponent. Should I dodge this way? That way? Block? Jab? When do I counterpunch?
These are all great questions.
But I'm here to bet that if you're here listening to me ramble on about Punch-Out, then there's a good chance you know all of this already, because you already know about Punch-Out. Today, I'm here to talk about how a Vancouver studio proved that they paid attention to all of that. When Next Level Games was given the reins to modernize Punch-Out for audiences new and old, the results, in my opinion, were absolutely astonishing. Remember what I said about how all of these characters had so much personality? Now these versions arguably have more.
Get him, Cindy-Lon!
And what's a better way to bring out a character's personality than their animations? Next Level probably has one of the best animation teams in the business. Looking at their recent games, I'm sure you can see why many think this. But even as early as Super Mario Strikers on the GameCube, they clearly showed a dedication to how their characters in their games were portrayed. This is why I believe Next Level to be the perfect fit for a new Punch-Out. When you have a game that features cartoony characters, they need to be animated well to make full use of that cartoonish nature. Next Level Games also recognizes that for a revival of a classic series, the least that they could do was pay homage to them. Let's take a look at a few examples, starting with the one and only Glass Joe.
Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, the best game ever. Did you ever beat yourself?
No, I couldn't even beat I couldn't beat Glass Joe.
Now you know things are serious when not even Iron Mike could beat him. But that was the old Glass Joe. Let's take a look at the new and improved Glass Joe. Alright, the French national anthem still plays before you fight him. And he's still a little light on his feet when he's idle. Alright. What about that one move where like he says something off to the side right before coming? Oh, yep. There it is. Can we still knock him down in one hit if we counter that attack?
Indeed!
And he still wiggles his torso before falling to the ground.
1, 2.
But Glass Joe is just the first opponent. All those homages to his portrayal in Mike Tyson's Punch-Out were probably there to welcome back series veterans with open arms. Well then surely the next opponents will have all new tricks up their sleeves, yeah?
The answer is yes and no.
Now let's unpack what I mean by that. The majority of the boxers have the same quirks they did in the NES game. For example, let's look at a much later opponent, Don Flamenco.
Aha! Ole! Right, venga!
He still won't attack until you attack first. His right uppercut is back, still starting high above his head, just like in the NES game. And yes, he still has an infinite. Bald Bull still rolls his fist before throwing out his attacks. His Bull Charge can be countered for a one-hit knockdown. Mr. Sandman, the final boss of Wii Punch-Out, and a Punch-Out character that resembles Mike Tyson. They have the same record. Now all of this applies to the contender loop of Punch-Out Wii, but Punch-Out Wii has a new title defense loop. In title defense, the opponents are the same, but have brand new attacks that, okay, really shouldn't be legal. What kind of ref are you? Most of these attack patterns are brand new to Punch-Out as well, spicing up what would otherwise be just a great reimagining of a classic game with features that would have never been possible on an NES cartridge. This is what I mean by attention to detail. It's all the little things that made Punch-Out a smash hit back in the day, And it's next level that's continuing that trend now. It's the characterization of the boxers. It's knowing who you're facing and what their weakness is. And what their weakness has always been. Until they suddenly learn from their mistakes and are ready to give the player an even greater challenge. One that they've never even seen before, even if they're a veteran. It's clear the developers had passion for Punch-Out and wanted to inject that passion into as much of their game as they possibly could. Passion and attention to detail can only lead to better games in the future. Hey, thanks for watching. This is the first video on the channel, so if you want to know when more content like this becomes available, then consider subscribing and turning on notifications. I'll see you then.